we're going to be studying about the changing of names.
Amen.
All right.
Changing of names. Thank you, Jesus. Genesis 17 and 5. Well, first of all, this changing of names, what do we know about this changing of names? Before we was even born, when we was even conceived out of our mother's womb, what our name was going to be meaning, the meaning of our name, the meaning of our destination in life. When God blesses a person with a new name, is to establish a change of identity in a person. In Genesis 17 and 5,
Okay. I promise that you will be the father of many nations. That's why I now change your name from Abram to Abraham. I will give you a lot of descendants, and in the future they will become great nations. Some of them will even be king.
okay. I also put down on my paper when God blesses you to change your name, and when you step out of God's direction or His calling, He refers back to the old self, because you stepped out of line for what He had for you to do. When Abraham, I know that Abraham started off not on the right path, on God's path. Even though Abraham stepped out of his direction, what God wanted him to do, God's mercy and grace still, His favor was with God. The name change took place when God gave Abraham the covenant of circumcision. Told Abraham, this is what I want you to do. This is how I want you to do it. And if anybody that's not doing what I commanded them to do, they'll be cut off from their people. And we know that Abraham wasn't really, doing what he was supposed to be doing. And so I read in Genesis 12. Genesis 12 and 18 and 12.
So she laughed and said to herself, now that I am warmed out, my husband is old. Will I really know such happiness? The Lord asked Abraham, why did Sarah laugh? Does she doubt that she can have a child at her old age?
Even though, see, this is what kind of, I told Carolyn, I said, they're going to find this kind of amusing, because Sarah, she didn't believe, she didn't have the faith. She didn't have the faith that she could be pregnant or bear children.
Yes.
But she mumbled, I remember a pastor talking about this. She laughed on her inside of her.
Yes, she did.
And no one couldn't hear it now, but God could hear it.
Yeah.
And she had but God said, I name your son. So God gave that name to her son. She didn't, it wasn't a human name brought down. It was a spiritual name brought down by God.
Amen.
And, I was kind of thinking that Isaac's name was, his meaning of his name was laughter. And I was kind of like, she kind of mumbled and laughed underneath inside herself, but only one that could hear that was God. And God said, God do have a sense of humor.
Yes, he do.
And
Amen.
he named the son Isaac, means laughter. But I was thinking, what comes with laughter? Joy, happiness,
Yes.
Being proud. And God, that's one of the blessings or the favors that God put on Abraham, that he would have many descendants come from him.
Yes.
Even that he said, even kings will come from him.
Yes.
Amen.
And we know about that Isaac, his heir that came from Sarah, Isaac, I don't want to jump into that because that's what you was going to read about. That Isaac, that Isaac was formed the nations of Israel. And so I can imagine that Abraham, his son Isaac, he was so much like joyful and happy and proud of his son that it followed down the line.
Come on, baby.
Matthew 1:17.
Therefore, 14 generations from Abraham to David. There was also 14 from David to exile to Babylon, and 14 more to the birth of the Messiah.
Even though that when Abraham, it started with Abraham, it ended with his generation, his descendants. And I thought it was, when I read that, and it kind of touched me that it ended with Jesus. And all of his ancestors. And I thought that was, awesome, because that without Abraham, his descendants couldn't flourish. It couldn't nothing couldn't happen that his what God planned on happening for Abraham.
Yes.
Right now.
Thank you, Jesus. In Genesis 25. Amen. Thank you, Jesus. Isaac was the son of Abraham. Isaac was 40 years old when he married Rebekah. Almost 20 years later, Rebekah still no children, just like her mother-in-law, Sarah. Just what my husband was talking about. Like Sarah was changed to Sarah. Just like Abram was changed to Abraham. So Isaac prayed and asked the Lord, and the Lord answered his prayers. He had twins. They were fighting inside of her. She asked the Lord, why were they fighting? And the Lord said, because the two sons will become two separate nations. The younger one will come stronger than the oldest. The first one was Esau, was covered with red hair, and he grabbed the heel of Jacob. Esau was an outdoor person, and Jacob became the shepherd. So Jacob went to his uncle Laban and married his two daughters, Rachel and Leah, and he worked 7 years for Rachel. And then when he thought he was going to marry her, he got tricked and married Leah. So he had to work some more years to get Rachel. So Rachel was, okay, and so he knew he loved Rachel more than Leah, so he gave children to Leah. Now Rachel was so jealous, she told Jacob, I'll die if you don't give me no children. She did something as like Sarah did. She did just like Sarah did. It's just like what happened with Abraham and Sarah happened down in the generation of their children. So she did just like Sarah did, and she gave him, what was her name, Bilhah? And they had 2 sons, and she named him Dan. And they had a son, and she named him Dan. After all that, God gave her a son, and his name was Joseph. Jacob got up in the middle of the night, and this is in Genesis 32, and he took his wife and his 11 children on the other side of Jobab River for safety. A man came and fought Jacob until daybreak. When he came, he couldn't win. He struck him in the hip and threw it out of place. Let me go, man. He said. Jacob replied, you can't go till you bless me. The man asked his name. Then he said, your name will no longer be Jacob. You have wrestled with God and man. You won. Your name will be Israel. Jacob asked his name. He said, don't you know who I am, Jacob? Said, I have seen God face to face and still alive. So he named the place Peniel. God blessed Jacob in Bethlehem. After Jacob came back from the land of Canaan, God appeared to him again. This time, he gave him a new name and blessed him and said, I am God, all-powerful. Now your name will be Israel. Your descendants will become nations, and some will become kings. I will give you the land I promised Abraham and Isaac, your grandfather and your father. It'll be your family forever. Now, Jacob's name was changed twice. So that's what I meant about a reoccurrence. Just like Abraham, just like Sarah, you were saying Sarah to Sarah. And yeah, so Jacob and his 2 sons, one was Joseph. Sarah had 2 sons by Jacob. One was Joseph and one was Benjamin. You know, we all know the story how Joseph and, his brothers, they sold him into slavery. They sold him. We all know that story. But look at, they sold him, but it was already God's purpose. God's purpose is to change our names. It was his purpose for him to be sold. He was already destined to be sold because of that. Because he ended up being Pharaoh's right-hand man. So in all of that, I have to ask us, what is our name? What name did God give us? What is the name that God gave us? Because see, all of our names was changed from what we used to be to what we is now. Because, my name used to be Teardrop. That was that back name. Yeah. That was my used to be name. I used to be called Teardrop, so I got Teardrop tattooed all over me. That was my used to be name. But see, when God came, he changed my name. He changed my husband's name. And he changed our name to something different. So it wasn't no more back in the past, I'm no longer Teardrop. Now some people can still hold me to that. But the people that know me, know that my new name is Sister Carolyn. But that past part, that teardrop part, all of that stuff, you know, back in homeless, in the streets, drugs, alcohol, everything you can name. What it was, I did. You know, whatever it is, I did. But then now, I love how God is, because see, He already knew. He already knew. He knew that He was going to change my name. I didn't know. When I was walking around the streets of California crying and strung out on drugs and everything else, I didn't know that name was going to be changed. But now I have a new name. And see, everybody now call me Sister Carolyn. And the ones that know me, all the homeless people know me. I don't even know and say, oh, you Sister Carolyn. Man, I heard you. And I'm like, okay, God, I thank you for changing my name. And this is the whole purpose of the message, how God could change a name. That's what man husband was saying, and the meaning of the name. And that's the story. God changed his name. So I'm no longer teardropping, Sister Carolyn. I'm proud of Sister Carolyn. I am so proud of you, because you know we just don't know. It is nothing. You know, I used to say, I say, God, why do I have all them sisters and brothers, and it had to turn out to be me? And I was praying, and I said, God, why did I have to be? Now, some of my sisters didn't even drink. And it's not that we came from a bad home. My dad, I was a dad's kid. So I started drinking at an early age. I was daddy's kid. But my sisters didn't do nothing. I mean, my dad was a drinker and stuff. My mom was a praying woman, but she didn't go to church. But my dad's dad was a preacher. His dad was a preacher. We came out of the lines of preachers. So God said, you was already destined, but the devil was been trying to take you out for a long time. So you went through what you went through for such a day like this. You know, so now that all the souls out there, the homeless souls, because all of us already know our names is changed, we should be already all right. It's destined for the names to be changed with the homeless and the lost peoples. That's what it's destined for now. We all should be already all right now, you know, but we should. But it's destined now for that. And I said, God, why did I have to be? Why did I have to go through so much? Because you preached about it, and I'm glad you preached that subject, because my friend that came, you know, when you preached that, God had you to talk exactly to the people that it need to be talked to, because see, back in them days, all of that incest and all that raping and the molestation to kids and stuff, they need to know that it's still today, because it happened to me. Molested, raped, beat, it happened to me. So they needed to know that it is not, right here I was telling me and husband, we was studying and stuff, and it was show even Ishmael and his daughter married Esau, but Esau, was it Esau? It was, in Jacob, he married into family. This is family. Now we'll call it, oh no, you better not touch my Amy or my sister and all that. But back then, and you was talking about that, and everybody have to, you know, because it is a rage with this spiritual thing that the enemy. It's not just because I was out there in the world and they decided to do it to me. It's happening to a lot of people. Should be careful where your children go. Be careful who got your children. And then as it happens in the family, because mine was an uncle. So be careful, you know. So I was just saying, God is a good God. My life, well, I said, Lord, but why did I have to be done like that, you know? Why did I have to go through all of that pain and all of that abuse and stuff? And then it was so beautiful what the Lord told me. The Lord said, because you the only one could have handled it. And then I look now at all of my sisters, and I'm the only one to handle anything that comes their way. I'm the only one to handle it. If there's such a time like that, you the only one could have handled it. And a lot of people already blew their brains out and stuff and things that I went through. A lot of people would already committed suicide, you know. But I'm just saying this to say, how good God is. See, it ain't have nothing to do with us, it's how good He is. He gave us a new life. He named me and my husband all over again. And we proud of our new life.
Amen.
We're happy for
Amen.
what He did. And even in this word, how He did Sarah and Abraham and all of them. Honey, what was you saying about when you,
That when God changes your name,
yes.
He entrusted you with the responsibility of, you know, what comes with that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people come to trust you, to come to you and ask you, you know, brother, how did you get past this? You know, because I'm going through similar circumstances. You know, when God entrusted you to, like the homeless, you know, at one time, you know, I was going to Bible college, and, you know, but it didn't end up the way I wanted to end up. But God, you know, still got something for me down the line. But, you know, when we go out to the homeless, I'm a prime example that, you know, Jamie is not is changed. You know, like Jamie is not the homeless guy again now. You know, it's like Jamie is like, see what, you know, how he look, how he dressed. You know, his brother Jamie. You know, or, you know, I said God hadn't gave me that yet, that name, that the minister part, because, you know, and I feel honored because of that. But God had gave me that, but people trust me to give a word, you know, to give a word, and, you know, and set that example, you know, because I said that if God brought me out of something and changed everything about that old me, and I'm ended up going back to that, you know, what's going to happen to me then, you know, because God trusted me to be brought out of that, because, you know, only God can see what's for your life, like what's the perfect thing for your life, you know, and what, you know, the outcome down the line when people see you, you know, and because God done blessed you to be brought out of something, and then you say, man, you know, I haven't seen you in a long time, just like a guy came up to me and said, you look good, man, you look good. You know, I say, that ain't God, that's nothing but God, because before I do anything, I give glory to God, you know, for what He done for me. But the name exchange is when God bless you with a name. It has to be, God give this to me, the Holy Spirit give this to me. It can be this, the definition of a person's name, or the somewhere like the meaning of what that name that God gave you, what is that, you know, the destiny for your life, you know. But that's what I had. But like I said, Abraham, before Abraham knew what his destiny was, what was set out for him, you know, he was kind of turned off, you know, what God wanted him to do. But his, you know, God's grace and His love still has, you know, Abraham's life in good, for good, not for bad. Because He said everybody's descendants of Abraham. Now, does that come with Abraham's blessings or his favors? You know, that's what I want to know. Does that come with his blessings and favors, or we his children, you know, his descendants? You know, that's what I want to, that's on my mind.
That's a question that you asked?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what's on my mind.
Okay.
Anybody would like to say anything? Yeah.
You know, what I have learned in this walk for me, dumb decisions that I made in my life after I got in church and what have you, what He did was take me back to dumb decisions that I made where I was supposed to have been dead, And he took me back to say, when you're in Christ, you understand it wasn't luck.
That's right.
It was predestined time for you. And what he did, because of dumb decisions, everybody look at Sister Deborah or Mother Deborah. She wasn't always Mother Deborah. So he took my stupid, dumb mistakes and kept me for such a time as this. And the purpose of being kept for such a time as this to honor him. He let me know, I kept you for such a time as this. If Mother Dolly, I got something I need to give to her, ain't no such thing as I'm ashamed of what I did, because he kept me alive so I could tell her. Every last one of his children got something in this earth to do, but you can't be ashamed if you was this and you was that and you was this and you was that, because he's looking for willing vessels. And if I was still ashamed or whatever, he can't use me. So what he do is, he spanked me into submission. He didn't twist my arm. Because he do it in love, because he loves us like that. So I just appreciate the dumb decision. It just took me a little bit longer, you know, a little bit longer. But I was his all the time, and I was trying to figure out, even in my sin, why I still didn't do what everybody else was doing. Because I was his before the foundations of the universe. Because his were chosen. And so in the process of that, I thank him. So now I don't meet strangers. I just meet people I never met before. But I appreciate God, because it's when people I walk upon anybody, so he keeps me.
Yeah.
Because of this love he gave me, he have to protect me, because I love everybody. And everybody ain't out for my good. So when those red flags go up, get up off of them. I can't walk up on that person. So he left Holy Spirit to protect me, to say, no. So I appreciate him. And everybody that he kept for them dumb decisions like I made in my life, he's saying step up to the plate, because everybody probably in this room and whoever connected to wherever got somebody he done lined up and ain't on the right path, and this world is coming to an end. And those people's gotta be whatever, because if I supposed to minister to Rosalind and I don't want to tell her my dirt, that's on me, boo. Sorry about that. I'm wrong.
No. You know, you can say it again. But that's what we had. That's what we had. We were just excited about that, because it is the name changer. What we was the exchanging of the name. We was the name mentioned, like, no, your name is like calling someone a name or something, and exchange is like a part with, wait a minute, to replace by other merchandise, a part with give or transfer. So the exchange to us, our names were exchanged. Our name was exchanged, just like Abraham, just like Sarah. And it's so amazing, because it's so much, we so excited that we just jumped over a lot of stuff, because when we was doing the study, it was just so much coming up. You know, God was showing all about Abraham, all the way down, like I was saying, I was trying to go all the way into Ishmael and Hagar and all that, because that's just how much he was showing. Them generations of children, like Pastor was saying, everything that was happening in Abraham, what happened with Abraham, Sarah, and them, that went on with Jacob, them, some of the same stuff happened. Some of the same stuff happened. Kind of different, but the same, even with their children, all the way down, you know, the sons, all the way. It went all the way down to Joseph and all of them. like the brothers, how the brothers sold Joseph and all of that. There was a lot going on, you know. Even we was reading how,
Talk about that
with,
too.
Jacob and Esau, when Jacob went in there and, played like he was Esau and put all of that on, then his kids, did some similar things on down the line. You know, the kids was, he said, bless me, and he put the right hand on the other one and the left hand on the other one. So it was like going from there to down to the line to their children's children. So it is, like Pastor was saying, something in the generation. It is a generation things, how things happen.
Where you all left off at, it's right up there. Your name for us is who you are. But more importantly, it's what you answer to. It becomes our identity. So now, right after name, identity is you got teardrop where? Where were you when that name came?
On the streets in California.
And an activity went with that name. And you can't wake up and say, I'm tired of this name. It's not that you ever get tired of the name. An activity went with that name. Now, when you're ready to respond to the call of God, well, he's not going to call you teardrop. So I changed your name because I need you to be thinking about something different. I need you to be ready to do something different moving forward. And so when he does change your name, he puts you in a place where you can operate within that name. Streets of California, streets of Dallas, same streets.
Same streets, same people.
Yeah, but not the same person. And so the real issue is, see, somebody ought to be all in the street hollering teardrop, and you don't never move. You know why? I don't even know who they call it. Yeah. Yeah, you be looking at James talking about, it must be somebody that's named Teardrop. I know they ain't talking to me. Because see, if your name, if it has been established to you that your name is Sister Carolyn, that's all you answer to. So now after Jacob came back to the land, he don't get nothing until he get back. His name has to, which means trickster, it has to remain trickster because when he goes to his uncle's house, he said that was the house of tricks. No doubt. And so yeah, it don't even make no sense to change your name and you're going to still be in the place where you play the same game. It's not till he comes back to the place of Canaan where he leaves the house of tricks where he's ready now to do something different with his life. I want to see my dad. I want to really be reunited with my brother. You know, some kind of way. I want you to fix all that was wrong, God. The person that I was when I left, I'm not that person 20 years later. So see, now he's not only ready to be something different, to do something different. Well, now at this same point, it's at this time, when he gets there, he gave Jacob a new name. They don't need to give him a new name in Laban's house, because Laban is playing games with him, and newsflash, go back and read the record. He game playing too.
Yeah.
Oh, you think you're gonna jack me? Okay, I'll tell you what. Yeah, the two can play at that game. And so at that point, see, as long as you're in California, it's gonna be teardrop all day and all night. But then when you change locations and you're in a different place where you can hear God, well, see, now I can change your name. So when I call you, you know who's calling you. We're just not, this culture, name doesn't mean anything. When you first started talking, you talked about the name change. Well, see, for us, it was when you got married. That's the only time a name changed. But the woman changed her name, but she didn't change. So when you would say Mrs. Whoever, she never looked up because in her mind, she just assumed you was talking to his mama. When Karen and I first got married, and when people say Mrs. Burnett, Karen initially, she don't respond because while your name has changed on paper, it didn't change in your mind. So yeah, Mrs. Burnett, oh, must be talking about his mama. You know, they're talking to you. Huh? So now, yeah, you imagine, your name done changed, and however many weeks or days or months, you got to catch up to the change. Because it ain't settled in you. And not only the changing of the name, but what difference do you do? And what difference does it make if I change your name and it's the same result? God is not a, because it's a blessing to have a name change. See, yeah, just as you say, it's a blessing when people call you Sister Carolyn. That's what they called you in California. That was still your name. That wasn't the street name, though. And so, yeah, it's a blessing because where you are now, they need Sister Carolyn. They may want Teardrop, but they need Sister Carolyn if they're going to get help. And it's important that they meet Sister Carolyn. And see, now when you start talking about covenant, because Karen was asking, well, what's stuff we have going on? I said, well, nobody's really done, you know, that's a covenant mark. Now, see, as you just said, now, what you say was all over your body? Why are those markers all over your body? It went with the name. So that you were reminded, and when anybody saw you, and they see it on you, or it reminds them of who you are. Where's Sister Carolyn's marks? Yeah. Where's Sister Carolyn's marks? You got teardrop all over you. Where's Sister Carolyn's marks all over you? So that you remind yourself, oh, so that mark there is not because of what I did in the street. See, that mark there is because of who I'm connected to. And at some point, all of us have to have covenant marks that remind us, I'm not in the game by myself. And when people see me, then you know I'm not in the game by myself. See, most times when we get married, you know what's part of the ceremony? You were given something that you didn't have when you were single.
Right.
Now when you wear it, it becomes a symbol to alert people. I don't care what I'm thinking about. Oh, she married. And but are you really married? No, forget the ring. What's settled in you? People are there to come tell me, oh, I see your ring. Are you happily married? What's that supposed to mean? You either in the covenant or you ain't. And how do we answer that question? It ain't never in the definitive. Well, you see this ring, don't you? You see this ring, don't you? We got all kind of answers. Are you happily married? Well, sometime I am. Sometime I ain't. See, you playing games. They got a follow-up question. Which one of these days is that? Is this an in day or out day? See, and then you wonder how we get in the position that we're in. But yeah, when you start talking about God changing your name, He knows serious business is about to take place. But you got to get there. Genesis 17, one of the places you started. (17:1). So you asked the question, Jamie, and watch this. Now, when you read this, Abram is good. His wife is good. Hagar, he had a side wife. He had a son. They put out. Isaac is born. He good. Now, so as far as he's concerned, you ain't got to do nothing else for me. Everything, God is rolling. Watch this. When Abram was, see that?
When Abram was 99 years old, the Lord appeared to him
Listen
and
to this.
said, I am the Almighty God. Walk and live
Well, not Isaac
habitually
yet, but come on.
before me and be perfect, blameless, wholehearted, complete.
Yeah, Isaac ain't born yet. Watch this. I need you to get somewhere. Go back to 1. You see that? This is where his name gets changed, right here in this chapter. But before I change your name,
You got to do something.
walk before me.
Yes. Live habitually.
Yeah, wherever you are, in your mind, in your spirit, or whatever, get from here. And get on down the road to where I need you to be. Now, when you get there, I'm going to do something. I'm going to make my covenant, solemn pledge between me and,
You, Abraham,
and,
Sarah.
of Sarah.
my pledge between me and you and, and,
Sorry, I'm listening though. I'm so sorry.
I think you're reading.
and,
And I will make my covenant, solemn pledge between me and you,
yes, about the computer stuff. No, the computer moving stuff.
and will multiply you exceedingly.
Watch this. Watch this. See, before, in the next few verses, here comes the name change. But this is so important, y'all. Look at verse 3.
Then Abram fell on his face, and God said to him,
Because, see, when God first appeared to him, he was in his place of being comfortable. When you read verse 3, he's in his worship spot now. We wonder why we can't hear a name change, because you want to hear a name change in your lazy boy. He don't talk in that spot. He talks when we've gotten out of our comfortable spot and gotten into our worship spot. When he gets on his face, here come God. As for me, behold, watch this. My covenant,
solemn pledge is with you, and you shall be the father of many nations.
here it is.
Nor shall your name any longer be Abram, high exalted father, but your name shall be Abraham, father of a
You
multitude.
see the difference? Abram could only father one child. High exalted father, singular. You can't keep that name. Not and be what I called you to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
Makes sense.
But because of the change, I got to give you a name that fits where you're going.
Right.
Father of a...
Multitude.
So now see, when God changes your name, you got to be ready for your changed destiny. And all the rest that comes with it, ready or not. So when he changes our name, are you ready for the job that goes with it?
Yeah. Responsibility.
Yeah, Jamie, it's an honor. It's a privilege, man, when God can put a title to your name.
Right.
But like in any gym, weights go with it.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Come on now.
That's right.
And so when we say yes to the name, you better be ready to say yes to the weights. Because they go with it. Oh, it's nice. We get tired of, I don't want to be single no more. I want to be married. That's beautiful.
To the weight.
Something go with that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And we need to know when we accept the call of God, what comes with that. We have all kind of examples. Jeremiah is called the weeping prophet because he really felt like God tricked him. When you read his writings, man, if I knew that this was the job. You told me, you gave me the Army commercial. You know, you gave me the uniform. You know, you showed me all the glamorous parts of the Army commercial. You didn't show none of the killing. You didn't show none of the folk dead in the field. And you certainly didn't show the silver box that they bring you back in. Where was that at in the commercial? They don't show you that. But how many know they go with it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's an honor. And if he gives you the name, as you said, Sister Kelly, it's because he knew you could handle the weight.
That's right. And I thank God for that name.
Amen.
Because when we make the kingdom, God says he has a new name for all of us.
Right.
Yeah, written down. But you won't know it till they reveal it to you. So it get changed again.
And you know, sometimes even coming with that name, it comes with a lot of stuff. Because even with the name change and stuff, is God gave you that name, and even for your testimony and all of that. Sometimes it comes with, should that testimony be, and then God said, yeah, it should be. Because see, sometimes we might do some things that we're not even proud of what happened in our lives, but it happened. And we got a new name. But then some people ain't happy about that name. But it don't matter, because that was that name and this a new name. You see, so it comes with a lot of things. Put it this way, I used to go to a church that they asked me to give the testimony, but they said, no, don't talk about that ugly stuff. I can't talk about nothing but the ugly stuff. So some people don't be happy about that, so you can't tell me to give up and give a testimony and think that I'm going to say, oh, I was at home reading books. The devil is a lie. He's never been at home reading books. Right? Okay? So what I'm saying is sometimes it comes with that, because it was like afterwards, afterwards, after the testimony, you tell me to give a testimony, and then I go in the bathroom or, hey, I got a new name. And back then, back in the world like that, I wasn't looking at nobody's nothing. I was into the drugs, and just a habit. And so sometimes it can weigh either way. You know, you can put it out there, and sometimes it can affect who it's going to affect, but it penetrates who it's supposed to penetrate. You know, so it's a, how you say, it's a blessing and it's a curse, because it's the way a person take it. So I just thank God that he gave it to me so I could give it the way it's supposed to be. I'm Sister Carolyn, and I thank God that not only, even if I went through what I went through, I came out as a diamond to him, and to who he had for me. You know, because even after all of that, he still gave me a wonderful husband.
Amen.
He gave me a beautiful family and children and grandchildren and a ministry to go out there and do what he wanted. Even in the ministry, I get to sit back and have people call me, and women's call me and say, I gave my life over to the Lord. I'm not on the streets no more. I got my 4 kids back. I'm working for the county now. I'm doing this and that. Or I get to see the man say, hey, Kenyatta, letting us see him in his truck driving. We get to see all of them testimonies and stuff.
That's a
And we
blessing.
be like, I wouldn't give nothing, all the stuff that I went through, I wouldn't take it back today right now, because I get to see. Before I go up to him, I get to see. I don't have to sit back and wonder, God, what do you want me to do? He already showed me what he want me to do. Get out there and do what I told you.
Thank you,
Get
Lord.
out there and reach them lost souls. Get out there and reach them people that don't nobody else want to reach. Because you've been there and you know how it feels to be reached. So that's what I tell my honey all the time, it don't matter, because we actually get to see what God called us to do. And I have a family member that's been in the ministry, I mean, a minister for probably about 50 years and still don't know. And she'll tell you, she still really don't know what she's supposed to be doing. And I say, wow. You know, so we just thank God. But then, honey, we really thank God that, and even putting us here, it's a reason for being here, you know. Everything we live day by day by that is a reason for everything. It's a reason when we get up, if he blew breath in us for us to get up, he blew it up for a reason. And as soon as when we get up, we ask God, God, now you said you ordered our footsteps, whatever it should be, and then the phone get the ring. Sister Carolyn, can you bring these? Or Brother Jamie, can you come over and see me at the hospital? This and that, and this is happening so much that I said, Lord, I'm tired right now. And it's like, this is what you want to do. So it's just awesome. You got something to say?
Well, all you said is true.
And then he gave me a wonderful husband. We are two different people, but we got so much love for each other and other people that my baby got a quiet spirit and I'm a dominant loud spirit. And he couldn't have put me with no loud person like me. He couldn't put me with nobody that was acting like